What's up, y'all? Nature Girl 30 here, and I have not done these in a while. Not since Girl Meets World's gone off the air. But I know that Smurf actually touched on this, but I decided to take it a little bit of a step further. Now, for those who are Girl Meets World fans, you know exactly pretty much everything about the character of Lucas Fryer. You pretty much know about the triangle. You pretty much know about his friends. You pretty much know how he is. Now, when you actually take a look at Archie, I hate to say it, but there are a huge amount of similarities between Archie and Lucas. And that's why I decided to bring back my Who's Better series to see who is the better friend, who is the better potential love interest, and who is the better guy overall for whatever show. So, let's let the battle begin. Who is better? Lucas Fryer or Archie Andrews? Okay, instead of being all over the place with this, because this can be a pretty broad topic as well as it being about two shows, I have decided to stick this to only three categories. Number one, the romantic element. Number two, the friendship element. And number three, his characteristics as a character, if that makes any sense. But let's talk about his character. Now, we know that Lucas, of course, is somewhat of a deadly do right, but kind of isn't. He's more confused about how he should be or how he wants to be. He doesn't exactly know who he is yet, and this is something of a discovery for him. And he has friends around him that can help him with that. But in a way, he has two girls that he really does like, but things are getting a little bit complicated, and he doesn't know exactly how to fix this issue. And it was a long, drawn 3-season issue that ended with a meh. But I'm not going to go too much into that, and I'm not going to really go too much into Disney. We already had that down. But as a character with Lucas, Lucas is a very, very, very young, naive version of Archie, in my humble opinion. It just seems like he really just didn't get a grasp on who he was, let alone how he was going to develop to be. And not only that, he wanted everything to stay the same. When it came to any particular interest, or if anybody was going to deviate out of the triangle, they had to get back in it before they had to make a decision on what was going to really happen. Like, Riley couldn't date other people until a decision was made about the triangle. Maya couldn't do the same because they had to make a decision about the triangle. And everything needed to stay the same until there was a resolve, and that is how he worked. Now, let's switch it over to Archie. Archie definitely is a more mature version of what Lucas should be, or what we expected Lucas should be. He's pretty much familiar in how it feels to be in love, and well, let's put it this way. He doesn't exactly know the entire deal about love, but he knows truly how he feels, especially how he felt about Miss Grundy. Miss Grundy probably was the first love he ever had on the series. I'm not going by the comic book. I don't know. But as for the series, for the first time when I saw the episode, it is a given that he had really strong feelings and probably love towards Miss Grundy. And he knew exactly how he felt, and he pretty much wasn't afraid in feeling this way at all. Shoot, he had sex with an older woman, for crying out loud. So it's a given that this dude ain't no virgin. But other than that, when it comes to, and I guess we can probably switch to another romantic element, the triangle. It's a given that both these guys are in triangles. The entire Archie comic is based around the triangle between Archie, Veronica, and Betty. The entire series of Girl Meets World partially was based in this ridiculous triangle between Riley, Maya, and Lucas. But the only difference between the two is the fact that Archie had the balls enough to tell Betty that he didn't feel the same way that she felt about him. Even though it hurt her, he was honest with her. He kept it 100. He kept it real. What did Lucas do? Lucas dragged this crap out for 3 seasons. And he still wasn't entirely sure who he really liked. And we all know where it went from there. Yes, eventually he chose Riley, but they literally were not boyfriend and girlfriend for the entire season. They acted more like friends. Not even best friends, just friends. Like friends you would call every once in a while. So it was to the point where Lucas still didn't have an idea on what he wanted. He literally was totally confused about the entire thing. And it's a given that we know who he should have been with. And I'm not trying to be biased, But the thing is that Lucas really was not sure about anything, while Archie was. Archie knew that he didn't feel the same way about Betty that he felt about Miss Grundy, and he was completely honest about that. Lucas dragged that crap out for a very long time. And he literally strung those girls on for a very long time out of fear of hurting them. Now, I'm not going to say that Lucas was a total jerk about the whole thing. He was very selfish, no doubt. But Lucas did not want to hurt Riley or Maya, so he was willing to drag this crap out for as long as he could until there was some kind of resolve. Archie knew exactly how he felt, and he wanted to be honest with Betty because he's known Betty since he was small, and that was his best friend, and he had to be honest with her. So he was honest with her throughout. So even though that Archie is somewhat of a player, at least he cares enough about the people he does care about to tell them the truth about how he really feels. I will say that about Archie. Now, when it comes to Lucas, he is still discovering himself and trying to figure out what is going on in his life, how he feels, how he's supposed to feel. He's trying to figure all that out. Now, I'm not going to throw Disney into this. We all know they're both from two different networks, and it's treated differently. The CW is a little bit more mature. Disney is not, by far. But I'm going to take that element out of it and just focus on the characters. Now, we already talked about the romantic element of it. And we already talked about the characteristics of each character. Now, let's talk about the friendship base. Now, these guys definitely do care about their friends. We know that Lucas will go far beyond the call of duty to protect both Maya and Riley. But when it comes to Zay, let's just say that there was a relationship at first that was really distant between Zay and the girls. And I guess you could probably say maybe Farkle. He was a lot closer to his friends in New York than he was closer to his friend that came from Texas that he knew since they were small. But as time went on and as more people were added, he started to invite him into his group, and then they became all one big giant bonding group. Now, when it comes to Archie, we know that Archie is best friends with everybody, Jughead, Veronica, and Betty. But the thing is that we don't really see them together that often. Archie is doing his own thing when it comes to music. Betty has her stuff. And we all know that Veronica has her stuff, as well as Jughead has his issues. Everybody is somewhat distant. They come together, but they're not like always around each other. But it's a given that they're all friends and they will all look out for each other, but they still, have their own particular interests. It was to the point where when it came to Lucas was around them all the time, except for maybe like down the line when he started dating Riley. There were times that he actually still wasn't there with Riley, and he still wasn't there with the rest of the group, but he still remained pretty close with the clique. It was just always all together. But even though he was always all together with them, there were times that even though you didn't really see Archie all together with the other girls and all together with Jughead all the time, he still looked out for them, even though he just really didn't know what was really going on. But the one issue that I had about Archie was this. At the most important times, there were times that Archie just really didn't much pay any attention or focus on his friends at all. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be under your friend's thumb all the time. It's just the fact that he didn't really know what was going on in their lives. And if this person is like your best friend, you kind of want to know what's going on with them. I'm not saying you're going to hang out with them every day, but for crying out loud, if you know that your best friend Betty's sister is something was going on and her parents were being weird, don't you kind of want to be there for her? I don't know. And not only that, he kind of shafted Jughead for a piece of tail known as Miss Grundy. So his priorities kind of go up and down. His priorities go up and down depending on whether it's not something he loves or whether or not he's something he lusts for. And Archie's kind of self-centered on Archie, in my opinion. He doesn't necessarily focus so much on his friends. He focuses more on Archie and what appeals to Archie. While Lucas is always focused on his friends, focused on what his friends do. If anything deviates out of the norm, he's going to bring it right back into the norm. Can I necessarily say that that's a good thing or a bad thing? I can say neither. But when it comes to the aspect of relationships, when it comes to the aspect of friendships, and when it comes to the aspects of overall character, I hate to say this, and I know that a lot of people might consider me to be biased since Girl Meets World happens to be my favorite show. I gotta say that Archie is the far better character here. Now, the reason why is this: Archie is a little bit more realistic when it comes to how he feels about things, whether or not it's something romantically or whether or not it's something that isn't romantically or friendship based. He's a Dudley Do Right. I'm not gonna lie. He is a Dudley Do Right that always wants to do the right thing, and sometimes the right thing goes horribly wrong. But Archie is a little bit more realistic when it comes to this. I'm sorry, he really is. So and when it comes to Lucas, Lucas is a very naive type of guy. There was barely any growth for him in the show, and I have to even this up. There was barely any growth when it came to Archie. But when it came to Lucas, Lucas had a really naive look on things, and he really wasn't open for change, even though everybody else around him was. And even when things were obvious and right there in his face, he chooses to put on some blinders and still continue on like nothing changed. But when it comes to Archie, Archie's the first guy that notices something's wrong, and he confronts it, and he deals with it, and he moves on. So I hate to say it, Archie's a far better character than Lucas. So in my book, Archie has the win here. So one for Riverdale. But guys, what are your thoughts on this? Who do you think is the better character? Lucas from Girl Meets World or Archie from Riverdale? I want to know your thoughts and leave it in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.